Welcome to Harness Up with Haste Draft Horses and Mules, where we talk all things related to these magnificent animals. From their history and uses to training and care, we cover it all. Join us as we chat with experts and enthusiasts in the field, share stories and tips, and explore the world of draft horses and mules. Whether you're a seasoned owner or just curious about these gentle giants, this podcast is for you. So harness up and join Haste Draft Horses and Mules for some lively discussions about these God-given creatures.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for coming on and listening to the podcast here, Harness Up with Haste Draft Horses and Mules. And I've got a good special guest here with me today. I'm looking forward to introducing to you guys. Today with me on the podcast, I have Justin Hardy. He is with the Louisville Metro Police Department, the Mounted Patrol Division. Justin, how are you?
Great, sir.
Good to have you.
Want to give you this patch in our coin. Thank you for having me on the podcast.
Now, that is cool.
I'm excited about getting to share some stories with you.
That is awesome. 2 patches and 2 coins. Last night, I was down in North Carolina and sold the state troopers a team of horses. I got a coin last night, so there we go.
That's 2 for 2.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
But we're glad to have you on here, and I just want to tell people a lot about what you do and your way with these horses.
Great.
It means a lot.
Absolutely. I've got a lot of knowledge, a lot of training, input that I can share with your followers. We'll just get into it.
Have you been with the department and doing what you're doing?
I've been with Louisville Metro Police for 18 years. I got hired in 2005. And I switched over after 5 years of patrol to the mounted division in 2010. So I've been riding for the patrol on horseback for 14 years.
Wow.
So it's been a joy and a journey, to say a little bit. Took over the trainer spot in 2016. So
awesome.
I'm all in.
Well, you love horses too. We know that. So
absolutely.
That you're right in your element there.
Yes.
What would you say your most memorable moment is doing what you do?
My biggest memorable moment goes back way in my childhood when I first started with horses in general. My papa, he taught me how to ride, and my mama. And when I was young, probably 4 or 5 years old, I had a little pony, and we took off. And my papa said, you know what? It was almost like a race. And I said, it's not really a race. I said, you got to learn how to do it first, Papa. And he said, yeah. He said, but in Kentucky, they do that big thoroughbred race called the Derby. And he started taking me to the Derby when I was, 6, 7 years. I was young.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed it. And I never dreamed that I would one day get to actually, do what I do, riding police horses. But my most memorable moment is carrying the flag, my first time, the American flag, at the Kentucky Derby on a police horse.
That's special.
So it was really cool.
That gave you chills, bro.
It did, yeah. Just holding that flag in front of 200,000 people, you're like, whoa. And you're depending on that horse to stand still because you got millions of viewers watching you. So I had a good percher that year, so that was good.
Some of you may not know, but the Kentucky Derby here in Kentucky is it's a huge day for everybody. And being a part of that, I'm sure it really makes you feel special. It's great.
Got to do 14 on horseback, so.
Going to ride this year too?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we're prepping for Derby 150. It's going to be huge.
Hoping I can be there to watch.
Yeah, that'd be great.
It's going to be fun. So what goes into training these police horses? Like, do you all do something with them training-wise every day, or what's your program?
So our program is very intense. Obviously, everyone knows with horses, there's a lot of work that has to be put into them. They're not always the same. And the environment that we work in is very stressful upon a horse. Being a preyed upon animal, they see things like your horses when you train them that not the average horse sees, like big trucks, construction sites, trains, everything in the city environment. And what we do is we get our horses and we have to expose them to as much as we can. Mm-hmm. So, and then every day, I call every day, and if your viewers can look at this, as every day is a training day. No matter how broke you say your horse is, they can always learn and they can always teach you about something you need to know. So on a day-to-day basis, we get the horse, pick whatever we're going to do as far as deployment, if it's just a patrol or if it's an event, depending on what's on the schedule. But a normal patrol is we'll just come in and get the horse tacked up, ready to go, trailer into town because it's about 30 minutes from where our facility's at, and then we'll ride that specific area. We mainly target community areas where we're going to see more people. So downtown, our riverfront, there's several parks downtown, and then we'll also ride a lot of neighborhoods that we may encounter a lot of different types of environments.
So a mounted patrol horse they got to know what they're doing.
They got to be tough, and they also got to be able to react in a specific moment.
Exactly.
Whether something's coming around the turn or, when you have horses in traffic, one little movement to the left or right could cost you.
Definitely.
So, we just try to train our horses to the best we can. And if there's a problem with something, then we just work with it. And that continued repetition. And me, when I took over the trainer's position, it's not just about the horse. It's how you partner that rider up with that horse. Is that rider going to fit how that horse works? Because if not, then you can make the horse even worse by putting a rider that's not really sure about what to do.
Well, not only do you have in your position what you do, not only are you just trying to protect yourself, you got the horse to worry about too during that.
Absolutely. I mean, our biggest rewards for what I do is the community engagement. We love being out with the people because in our environment, in the city environment, a lot of people aren't exposed to a horse, and a horse is a very approachable animal, and they can just put smiles for days on people. And that's what I enjoy the most, because I enjoy talking with people and using that horse as a tool to actually help solve crime, because they'll tell us things and we can report that over to whatever division needs to know about if there's crime involved.
Let's say you have children run up to the horses like crazy.
Absolutely. Yesterday we parked our trailer at the spot we were patrolling, and there was some children at a school. They were outside doing their recess, and they could see the horse from a block away, and you could hear them yelling, "Horse, horse." The principal walks down and invites us to come to the school to show them the horses. Like that's how that worked. And we got 100 contacts with children that made their day. That's just because we chose to park there. We didn't even really plan it.
Yeah, like when we go to town with horses driving, just training. Yeah. It's every time we go, somebody runs up to us. Can I get a picture? Can I pet the horse? Right. I could only imagine in a metro city like you're in. Mm-hmm. Wow, the people were getting like crazy for that.
Oh, it's very unbelievable. You just don't realize the impact. You gotta have a good horse. That in training horses, just like with your driving horses, our number one responsibility is safety.
Oh yeah.
And what I want is a patient and calm horse when someone approaches it and is able to stand there without moving those feet. We transition into a warm blood horse. Most of our horses, 70% of them are Percheron crosses. Yeah. Now, we really like that breed. I know you're a big fan of them.
Huge.
And I've had 3 teams of Percherons, including the ones I just got from you.
You sent me that picture of that beautiful dappled gray.
He is a Percheron quarter horse.
He's cool.
Yes.
That's a beautiful.
And he is, he's really, really good, and he's really striking. He's just a good old boy.
Are you still riding him?
He is one of my backup horses. I ride a younger horse right now. He's coming 6-year-old. His name is Law. He had a couple years on the street, so I put Sonny on the back and then started working a new horse.
How many horses do y'all have that you use?
Right now, we've got 6 full-time horses, and we have 3 that are in training.
Do they get a badge?
They do. They're just like, they're covered by the KRS, which is Kentucky Revised Statute, as a kind of like similar to a canine, but it's as a service animal.
That's neat. So they keep the horses at a farm away from the city.
Yes. So I think the biggest reward for that horse is they're just like us. They have a job to do. Mm-hmm. Their job is to, whether they're a driving horse or a show horse or a reining horse or a cow horse, their job is to either do their work where they're at and travel to do it, or get in the trailer and go do the work. So we like to differentiate. Okay, at the farm, they're able to be a horse in their pasture or in their stall, And then when they load up and get that saddle and that tack on and get in that trailer, they know they're going to work.
They know.
So that their mindset changes.
Oh, yeah.
They're like, here we go, another day, whether they're plowing ground or whether they're riding the city streets.
Some horses, I've noticed that, like in training driving horses.
Yeah.
Some horses on the ground, they're always just going to be a little weird. Or they're just, but once you throw a harness on them, changes.
Absolutely.
Just business mode.
Yeah, they get into that like, okay, I know what I'm supposed to do now because I've been trained for this. And it takes a while, just like training any kind of animal, it takes a while to get that repetition. I like to say, since I've been doing this for 14 years, if you give me 2 good seasons, and I call a season like from like early spring to late fall, the busiest time of the year. Of course, we ride all year round, but you give me 2 good seasons and I can get a horse pretty solid.
That's good.
Where I'm just really comfortable, and we try to ride as soft as possible. And depending on what we're doing, when we're working, our main function, like I said, is patrol. But when we get called out for a crowd control or a crowd management deployment, we have to, treat that as such. And we do that. And mainly it's for the protection of the crowd, whether it's an EMS rescue or, we'll block streets, hold crowds back so the EMS can get in, or fire, and they've been very effective tools for that.
Like going to Louisville, we travel up there sometimes for different things. A UK Louisville basketball game.
Oh, that's a big...
In Louisville is major.
It's a big deal.
When they come out of that arena, well, you've seen how many people it is.
Oh, yeah.
Are you there on those horses during
We ride special events such as football games, basketball games. I can remember years ago when U of L was in the championship game, because the whole campus was pretty intense and we had to get the horses out, and there wasn't anything big that happened, but we did use them for the management tool. Just that presence of the horse, they know that we can move people if we need to.
Yeah. Well, going into something like that with a horse, you got to have that bond.
You got to have it, because last thing you want is to put others at risk, the safety of the community. You don't want that end up in the wrong direction.
Like shoeing wise on those, I just got a question for myself.
Oh, absolutely.
How do they shoe?
It's a real simple approach, but we did this from learning. We used to run regular steel shoes with drill tech, and then we were having just so much street wear and on the horse's joints just from that turning and that grinding. We decided, because every once in a while you would throw a shoe, or you'd come into work and your horse would be missing one from the pasture or whatever, and we were just like, how can we solve this? So what we did was we transitioned into cavallo boots. And they're the boots, they're big rubber heavy boots that you fit. We've been in those for 3 years.
And they work.
And it is fantastic. We just do a natural trim every 6 weeks, and they stay nice and shaped, and we can put those boots on, and we get about 4 to 6 months of street wear on a set. The money was about the same as far as cost wise.
Do they use the horses year round?
Year round, yes. Mm-hmm.
But I guess in the hot heat of the summer, they kind of slack.
Right.
So.
If it's like above a certain temperature, like really hot for them or us, we can deploy in areas like in the evening when it's not as hot, and if we have an event to work before it gets really hot. So.
Have you patrolled Thunder over?
Absolutely, every year. And that's a lot of people. I tell you when you have to train horses for different things, you're always wondering, what in the world can I come up on next? Mm-hmm. And the first year that I rode Thunder, that the fighter jets that zip across that sky, because it's noted as the largest air show and fireworks celebration in the U.S. Well, when those air show is going zipping around for like several hours, 3-4 hours, it's loud. And it's kind of neat to see how each horse reacts. Some horses don't react at all. It's like it doesn't bother their hearing. Mm-hmm. And we've tried earplugs and different things, but in some horses, like, only affects them if it's like one of the helicopters or one of the fighter jets. Or all in all, they do really well. The fireworks celebration, we actually put them just for safety purposes. We put them in an area because it's so long, and when we have to deploy afterwards, we want to make sure we're in a good spot to get back for the crowd work. So we actually have a place where we go where they don't really hear it. It's like just thunder. And, I'm all for it. Look, my horse can, see some fireworks. They don't mind it, but it's just an easier approach to what we need to do after the fireworks.
So on the job, these horses, they usually don't ever have to trot or lope. They're mainly just walking, or
we mainly just patrol walk, but we've had to lope, and we trot, not a lot, but if we have to trot through an intersection, or if we have to trot up because we see something like a down person or something where we need to get there faster than just a walk, a draft horse can carry quite a bit of distance in a working trot, and we can get there just past that little quarter horse if he is loping. So we do that extended trot if we need to. It's kind of funny you talk about that. I can remember one story where we actually we got a call, and it was probably, midday. We were patrolling a park, and there was an active base. It was a serious crime that occurred, and we heard it on the radio. We were like, I looked at my partner, I said, we're like 3 blocks from that. And it was something we needed to get there to do. So we got there, and the suspect that they had put out was running towards us. And he didn't know we were the police until he saw us on these big horses. And then he took off the other way. So we took off after him and actually ended up catching him. We got him boxed in, and then it was a kind of a combination effect where K9 he actually jumped into a fence and we couldn't get in there, but we got K9 to get there. And so that was pretty cool. It was like my high-speed chase on the horse.
That is cool. Tack-wise, what's your go-to saddle for a mounted?
So we use Steuben Scouts. So Steuben, very, very great saddle maker. They make a lot for dressage, but we ride in an English all-purpose saddle.
Okay.
So we can get closer contact with our cues and our body and our calves. And it's a very sharp-looking saddle, kind of like cavalry. It's got really nice leather, and it's very, as far as the contour of the cantle, it's a very, very good saddle. It's very light, so it looks sharp.
What bit do you run in your horse?
So we run, most of our horses have a miler, like 2-stage, where it's like a broken snaffle with a roller. And a lot of the horses work good in that because we can pick up that shoulder or move them over. There are some that we run a straight Kimberwick in. Okay. And, it depends on how the horse is. A lot of these draft horses will pull on you, so usually our younger horses, we work in snaffle until we get to, they can move up to that broken with, miler level 2 with that roller. And that's what me and the other trainer use, and they work really well.
Ideal size for your horse. What's too small?
Too small, I tell you what, it depends on what you're doing for our type of work. But on our scale, we have the full spectrum in our barn. But our smallest horse, get this, is an American cream draft. Okay. And that breed, I don't know what history you know about it, but it's the only breed that originated in the U.S.
It is.
Out west, out in the hills of the mountains, they devised that breed to work cattle in the mountains because they're very sure-footed, but their size isn't as big as a normal draft. But he's a full American cream draft, and I trained and rode him. He's the most athletic horse we have, but he's a little on the small side. He's just under 16 hands, like almost right 15.3. He's almost there. He's just a little slender, but he would be on the small scale. And then at one point we had a horse that was too big. And he was really big. He was like 19 hands. And it was just like not comfortable to ride him. I mean, when you're all day. But our average go-to horse is that 16 to 17-1 because he still looks big. And when people see a horse, they want to, they always say, is that a race horse? Do we get that question? No, it's just, he's a what kind of horse is it? It's a draft cross, percheron cross, because, like the pulling horses. And they're like, oh, yeah, they're big. So it projects that. And people, when they come up there, they see that big horse, and that breed is, the percheron breed is just so docile. So we have the cream draft, and then the rest, except for one, are all crosses. And we have one Suffolk cross that's with a Belgian percheron, and that's our commander's horse. So we've had all of them. My best horse I had, it was my first horse. He was a percheron thoroughbred. He was just very, very showy, but he had the percheron high head, like the old school percherons. He knew it. Like when he went under the interstate and heard that noise, he was prancing. And when he just loved to be showy. He was the first one I did the colors on and all that. And he was a great horse. It just depends on what we're doing. But I'd say the average is.
Do they have younger horses in training now coming up?
Yes. So we currently get our horses from Asbury Service Mountain Program, located here in Kentucky, which is over near Wilmore, Kentucky. Asbury University, they have a police service mount program where they get the horses younger, and the departments can go select them. Mm-hmm. Then they're in training for several years, and then we go get them as usually in their fall of their 3-year-old or their spring of their 4-year-old year, and then we put them into our program. They're run by the same trainer, which is a student trainer, and they have a program manager that manages all the students, and they put a really good foundation on a horse. Like once we started using them, you get a horse that's already been through all the rigmarole of day in and day out work, so they kind of know what a job is. They just need to know our job.
Exactly.
And just like in the driving world, like once they learn that I've got to do this, they can be put in different programs, whether it's carriage work or plowing work or farm work. Or that's, we have to have a horse that we can depend on. And once you get into that, what we do, it's our job, for our city. And we want to make sure we get, what we need.
That's what it's about. Dependable, honest horses.
Right.
That people can trust to do the job they want to do.
Yeah.
It's like a kid. That's what I tell people. You send a kid to school till they graduate. They decide if they go to college or what they're going to do with their life. But once they get acclimated in what they're going to do, they're there.
They're there.
Same thing with a horse.
You're absolutely right.
We can train them, but they got to acclimate to their job.
They got to know what their job is every day. And then they got to know, like, when they get to that point in their duty, how to take care of who's taking care of them.
Yeah.
Because you have to be the leader, but they can also help you be the leader. Yeah, exactly. I like that part about the equine breed. I've always just had an extreme passion for the breed and what they do. Or not necessarily the breed, but the animal.
What was your upbringing into horses, and then what really got you to where you was to where you are now?
Growing up, my family always had horses, and we had a small little farm. And my mom, she got me my first horse, and she's like, "Here you go." Well, it translated into later in life. I'm kind of an adrenaline junkie, so I liked going fast. So what horse goes fast? A quarter horse is pretty fast, so I got into quarter horses and did a lot of ranch work, doing some team pitting and just having a little hot rod horse. And I really liked it, did all the training myself, and I had a lot of fun. And then as I got older, I thought, it would be kind of cool to do something in the equine industry and actually get paid to do what I enjoy and what I have an extreme passion about. Well, after growing up and coming to the Kentucky Derby a lot, I just did a lot of research, and our department had a mounted patrol unit. So I said, well, I'll just try to get hired on the police department because, my background before police, I'm an Army veteran. I've done a lot of things. I like to be, active. So I thought I'll serve my country in the city as a police officer, and then maybe I can get selected to be on the mounted patrol. And I did 5 years, and I was able to get the spot. And that translated into, okay, now I'm riding horses, and I'm doing what I enjoy, for the community. And what's the next level? And, well, it was pretty easy. I love interaction with people. So I thought, what better way to try to be the trainer? The trainer at the time, he just allowed me to kind of be his assistant. And I knew one day he would probably retire, because we all want to retire, right?
Exactly.
So he kind of took me under his wing, and he was a great mentor. I was able to take that and learn from him, and then kind of put my own spin on it for the way I train, because I think every trainer can learn from other trainers, and no matter what discipline they're in, whether it's reining, cow horse, and dressage, hunter jumpers, draft horses that are working environment, or police horses. And we enjoy translating that into other, disciplines. So that's kind of where it led me to be the trainer for our unit. Have since trained every horse we have and all the riders. And it's a complete, it's very rewarding to see the finished product of a solid horse and rider going out and doing their job and having the ability and know that you put that product out there. It's something to be very proud of.
That's what we all work for in the equine
Absolutely.
industry. The finished product.
Yeah.
It's a feeling.
It just puts a smile on your face. I mean, when that, in your case, when that client leaves and you see the feedback from when they send you videos or call you on the phone and say, man, these horses are doing great, that just puts a smile on your face.
That's one of my favorite things, to get a video from a customer.
Yeah.
Of them using the horses we sell them. It's great. Where was you raised?
So I was raised in a small community in Indiana, over in Daviess County, which is a lot of draft horse country for all the followers out there. I know they've heard of Lagodi, Indiana, and Dinkies, but we grew up around drafts, and I always thought, can you ride those big horses when I was a smaller child? And I never thought I'd be riding those big horses in the city streets, later in life. That's actually what turned me on to draft horses in general, was when I got on the police department. I had no driving experience, and I had no inclination to even drive a horse. But when I started doing more research into training and how other horses were trained with their discipline, we were riding these big horses. And it was the first funeral that we worked for a fallen officer. I actually got to see a driving team pull in, and you had mentioned you just sold a team to the North Carolina troopers, but I saw that team for the first time, and it just resonated with me like, wow, that's pretty amazing. You can actually ride in something that pulls something, So I went out like the year later and bought my first team out in Iowa and learned how to drive, because I thought, you know what? All these years of riding horses, one day I'm not going to be able to ride. Yeah. I'm going to be on or working with a horse. So I thought, I'm going to learn how to drive and be a teamster. And that's what kind of got me into driving horses. And, that's why I got a team now. And actually, that's how I discovered you, Steve.
That's right.
And I couldn't be more blessed, because I got my team from you. And it was perfect timing. You invited me to be on this podcast. So
a lot of people going to be on this podcast coming up this year are my customers.
That's wonderful.
I'm looking forward to it.
It's just absolutely wonderful.
Besides the Kentucky Derby, which I know that tops it all, but what's another really memorable event that you have experienced on horseback?
It's memorable. There's a lot of times things can be memorable for positives and negatives, and it's kind of both. And it's related to our mounted police work. Last May, it was after Derby, I was just on a routine patrol, and we were walking in a spot where we've walked hundreds of times, around and by, and it was on our waterfront, and I was riding Sonny, that sparkling gray horse, and he's just a show charmer. And they were setting up a concert venue, and they had some of those portable tents kind of like to our right. And as we were trekking along, just at a nice patrol walk, and, when the horses see an obstacle, they scan ahead and they see it, and then they discount it. Mm-hmm. If they know they're it's safe and they're going to travel by it, they usually just put that head back down. You can feel them getting a little softer, and that assures you that they're okay with it. Well, we had gotten to that point, and we were in single file because it was kind of narrow and not very many people. It was mid-afternoon, and we walked by, and the workers that were putting these portable tents up, something happened to the poles as we passed, and several of them slammed down onto the concrete behind us, probably, 10, 20 feet. And my horse just initially thought that it was just something after him. And he just he didn't really, flee. But unfortunately, there was a series of stadium stairs immediately to our left. Like, we had trekked down this way lots and lots, and I never once thought that my horse would move a couple feet over and get 1 foot off of one of them stairs, and I would be in the predicament I was in. We all know as trail riders and in different disciplines, when we're show jumping or whatever, that a horse can lose his footing really at any time. I've seen him do it on flat ground. But during this transition, there was 3 platforms of stairs. And when I felt him go down the first one, I just really got tight with him and squeezed on him to hopefully pull his rib cage up in his shoulders. To hopefully, I was just going to ride it out because I wasn't going to jump off, not knowing what he was going to do. And we only had 3 steps. I was like, maybe we'll get to the end and I'll be good. It was all playing out in my mind. Well, long story short, we got to the 3rd one, and he had lost all footing, and he went down on his left shoulder. And as he did, he took his big shoulder and pushed my foot into the concrete as he flipped me kind of over. And then he kind of rolled on top of me. Unfortunately, when he flipped me over, my foot was trapped, and it basically shattered my left foot in 12 different fractures. A couple surgeries later, and 8 months off of riding. But, it was a memorable moment, and it taught me a lot about the respect you have for what you do and what it really means to you. It changed me as a person to be a lot more thankful for these animals, particularly and the risks that they put for them and the risks that we put for the community. It's the only time that I've ever been injured on the back of a horse, and you just never know when you can be in that position. But
as long as you've been doing it, though,
one time, that's pretty good.
Pretty good.
So, I've come off, and everybody's been hit the ground, but as far as seriously injured like that, and prior to that, I was a 100-mile ultra marathon finisher as far as running goes. I'd run the Appalachian Trail, and I just, in my mindset, I was like, I've got to train to get back now, just like I trained for that 100-mile race. And here I am back now. I've been back riding for 2 months, and I'm prepping me and my horse for, the next upcoming season in Derby. And it feels great. Like, it was my mounting foot, but it feels great to put the weight through the stirrup. And,
Will Sonny be at the Derby?
Sonny will not be at the Derby. I'll be on my other horse. Yeah.
So how many of you will go to the Derby and ride?
They will be, let's see. Well, we'll have all of our horses. And then we also have a Kentucky departments. There'll be Lexington, and the horse park has a police department. And we also have another department from up in Michigan, Kenton County, Michigan, that comes and helps us. So we'll have a total of probably about 16 horses.
How many departments are in Kentucky that have?
Right now, there are 3 full-time, to my knowledge, and that's Louisville, Lexington, and the horse park.
You sent a picture of some competition-looking things. You was jumping and stuff.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
So every year, the Lexington Department and the Kentucky Horse Park, they put on what's called the National Mounted Police Colloquium, and that's where departments from around the United States and other countries can come, and basically you have training for 2 days, and then you have 2 days of competition, and it's like that. It's our bread and butter for, okay, I've got a great police horse, and this is my show. So we enjoy it. We have great camaraderie. We share ideas and training tactics with other departments. We have instructors from all over, Border Patrol and other departments come and teach. And I've been fortunate enough I'm also an instructor, so to be able to actually teach there and help out on the instructor spot.
Some of the listeners and viewers might not think that mounted police work is an effective tool for a force like you guys. Tell us how it's more effective in some ways than others.
Oh, absolutely. What we do on the back of the horse, number one, it gets us out with the community. We're there to respond to anything that could happen, just like if you were in a car. The benefits that we have is, one, we're very approachable if someone was to come up to us. Two, we're elevated so we can see, like when we're working crowds, we can see into the crowd. If something happens that needs our assistance, we can safely navigate through the crowd versus trying to drive a car there or try to put officers on the ground at risk to get in there to handle the situation. Also, when we're just out on a routine patrol, like on our neighborhood deployments, we have so much contact with the community that it just is tenfold. We'll talk to hundreds of people. And if somebody's driving around in a car, they might talk to 10 people a shift. On the runs they may go on, but I'm talking just in general, that community awareness that we provide is our number one engagement. And that's why I think in an urban environment, we can be out there for the community to rely on us if they need to see for what we can do for them.
Definitely. You mentioned you was in the service. What branch was you in?
I was in the Army.
Cool.
Yes.
How many years?
I did 8 years, couple deployments, and it was great. I enjoyed it. I was an artillery officer, so I was able to, shoot their big cannons and do what we had to do as far as for our artillery missions. It was a lot of fun.
Thank you for your service.
You're welcome.
We appreciate it. If someone that listens or watches this on YouTube is wanting to be a mounted police officer, what's the steps, or how do you get into that?
Oh, well, for our purposes in our department, each department may be a little different, but you first have to be a patrol officer on the street level for so many years. And then if you want to get into the mounted patrol division, you can apply with us, and then we will put you through the training. And what they can expect is a very rewarding job that they know that they can get out and learn something that's challenging, get out with the community. I think it's so rewarding because we encourage people that have never even rode a horse before. I get officers that when they come to our unit, they ask why. Well, I've never rode a horse. Well, that's fine because we'll train you. I just want to know, can you listen? Can you take direction? Because I'm going to teach you how. And some of our best riders in the past 10 years have been riders that have never even mounted a horse before. And you would think that it would be the other way around, but it's actually easy to train somebody that's never been on a horse because they don't have any bad habits.
So you can train them how you need them.
Yeah, you can train them how you need them. But I would say the best way is I think it's a great career. I wouldn't change a thing as far as the path that I chose. And if somebody's interested in doing what we do or what I do, feel free to message me or get with Steven, and you can give him my number, and I'll be more than happy to answer any questions because it's something that I think is invaluable for what we do in law enforcement. Very valuable.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I learned a lot tonight by listening to you.
Yeah.
I didn't know a lot of this stuff. And,
yeah.
We get calls sometimes from departments for mounted patrol horses, and I just tell them I've got horses,
right?
I don't know if it's going to work for what you need. I mean, you got to really have a trained horse to do
right.
it with.
Yes. I mean, it's something that they can, once they see the horse, they'll obviously be able to know if it would work for them. But I know some of the horses that you've sold would absolutely work for us.
Yeah.
I mean, they're good horses, and some of the training, that you've put into them, you know, just from my experience, I know they would do well.
We try our best. It's different with every situation. The equine industry right now it's more versatile. I never seen something.
Absolutely is.
I mean, you got more things they're using horses for nowadays than ever. It's really good. What other events do y'all do outside of Louisville? Like, do you travel to other events?
We do travel. We get requested by other departments. Here coming up, we're going to be at Road to the Horse 2024. Excited about that. And also work some of the 3-day eventing at the Kentucky Horse Park. But our primary focus is, being in our, they come and help us. So we have to kind of go help them.
Return the favor.
That's all what it's all about, just in what we do.
Any closing thoughts you have, Justin, today?
I would say my number one closing thought would be, wherever you may live, in whatever city, if you see a mounted police officer out, they want to talk to you. Go up, approach them and say, hey, what's your horse's name? Can I pet him? I'm sure they'll let you. Even if you're not a horse person, like if you just want to interact with them. And because community, I think, is our number one focus, because we've got to be out there to protect and serve. And what better way for them to come up and approach us and say, hey, how you doing? So
exactly.
That's what I enjoy the most.
A guy told me a long time ago, there's no better conversation piece than a horse.
You're absolutely right.
In all ways. And it is true. Justin, thank you.
You're welcome.
I appreciate you, man, for coming.
Absolutely.
It's been a pleasure to have you on the podcast.
Sure
and thank you all for listening again. We sure appreciate it. And if you need a horse or need to talk to me, 606-303-5669, or you can hop on our website, www.drafthorsesandsmulesforsale.com. Also, we have Facebook, Twitter, all the social media platforms. So please get on, like us, share our stuff. We sure appreciate it. And until the next one, keep harnessing up and have a good day.
As another captivating episode of Harness Up with Haste Draft Horses and Mules draws to a close, we extend our sincere gratitude to our listeners for joining us on this enlightening journey. We hope today's discussions have deepened your appreciation and understanding of these magnificent creatures. Remember, the adventure continues beyond this podcast. Stay connected with us on social media and share your stories. For more information and to explore further, visit drafthorsesandsmulesforsale.com. Thank you for being part of our community. Until next time, keep harnessing your curiosity and passion for these God-given creatures. Farewell for now.